Arab world, the United States and Europe, as well as the Israelis, are all on board that Hamas can have no role in governing Gaza moving forward, but it's unclear exactly who the right group of people, of Palestinians, should be involved in leadership moving forward.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by defense reporter Mike Brest. Mike, anything that happens in the Middle East is always written a little bit on sand, but we appear to have had a really big breakthrough in Gaza, the Israeli war and Hamas. Walk us through what the apparent deal means, doesn't mean.
So, as you said, Israel and Hamas have agreed to, the way many people are framing it, is the first phase of ending the war.
Right.
And so what that will include, and what most of the world is hoping to see over the next couple of days, is a complete pause in military operations on the part of the Israelis, where they will then pull back from certain areas, the most densely populated areas of Gaza, more closely towards the Israel-Gaza border. And then the big thing is that Hamas has agreed to, in exchange for that, release the remaining 48 Israeli hostages that they've now held for more than 2 years. And so of those 48, the current belief is that about 20 of them are believed to still be alive. 28 of them are believed to have been killed, and Hamas or other organizations in Gaza are holding their bodies. And so once this deal finally commences, and at this exact moment the Israeli government has not yet voted in favor of accepting the deal, but are about to. And so once all of this happens, we will start to see these machinations occur. And so once the ceasefire begins, it starts a 72-hour period where Hamas has to release all 48 hostages. And so this is a dramatic moment, because this has been one of the primary things as the Israeli government has tried to accomplish, is getting all of these hostages returned home. And it's been one of Hamas's biggest sticking points. And in the past, as in the other temporary ceasefires that have occurred, Hamas would release hostages in batches at a time. Mm-hmm. And so this would, in effect, end that part of the war. The main question that this agreement doesn't answer is what happens after the hostages have been exchanged. And so the Israeli government also intends to, as a part of this deal, release a couple thousand Palestinian detainees who have been detained since October 7th. Mm-hmm. But once all of this occurs, that's when the major test really begins for all of these parties and the different world leaders that are involved in this. Because the major step that has yet to be explained publicly is, at this point, Hamas has still refused to disarm, whereas that is the primary objective is Israel's entire military operation in Gaza for the last 2 years has been to disarm Hamas. Mm-hmm. And so even if the hostages are released, there will be this looming question of, will Hamas willingly disarm, and if not, what does the forced disarmament of Hamas look like, and does it require restarting military operations in Gaza? And so that's what all eyes are on. But President Trump has put a lot of time and effort into getting the negotiations to this point, and the Arab community has gotten on board with the president's plan, as right. has Europe. And so with all of these governments supporting this plan, it's hard to see Israel not stopping its operations, but it's also hard to see exactly how Hamas agrees to effectively its own surrender.
So you mentioned Hamas surrendering. There's also just the question of how Gaza will be governed going forward.
That's exactly right. And so President Trump, when he announced his 20-point plan of how to end the war and move forward, it included what he called sort of a board of advisors, effectively. Mm-hmm. And he called it a board of peace. And so he would be on it, as well as the former UK Prime Minister. And it's unclear exactly who else.
Tony Blair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it also is unclear exactly who else will be on this board, how many people will be on it. So we're still waiting for some details. But the Arab world, the United States and Europe, as well as the Israelis, are all on board that Hamas can have no role in governing Gaza moving forward. But it's unclear exactly who the right group of people, of Palestinians, should be involved in leadership moving forward.
So Venezuela has also been a hot spot, and the Trump administration has continued military operations against what they say are drug cartels, and there has been some efforts by lawmakers to potentially codify that or subject it to congressional oversight. What's the latest there?
Yeah, so a lot of what's going on right now off the waters of Venezuela is there's still a lot unknown. And so what we know so far is that there have been at least 4 of these lethal military operations targeting what the U.S. military has said are these drug boats.
Mm-hmm.
However, we've seen some conflicting information coming from local media in the region that these people may not have been who the U.S. government said they were. And so Congress is trying to conduct its usual oversight of military operations as it does, as well as its ability to declare war, which it is in charge of.
Right.
So it's unclear exactly how this will play out, but the President and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, have made it clear that this is now a dramatic and significant part of U.S. policy for drug interdiction, and that both have left open the possibility of more significant operations happening inside Venezuela.
Now, they've been notifying Congress that they're doing this, and they've been saying what their justifications are for doing it, but there is no existing AUMF that covers this, right?
Exactly. And so the primary question is, the Trump administration says these are unlawful combatants. They are, according to the Trump administration's justification, illegal combatants posing a direct risk to U.S. lives. And so there's an argument to be made that they say they believe that to be true. The flip side is the U.S. Coast Guard has been interdicting these types of ships for decades. And when they do so, they apprehend those on board, arrest them, bring them to the United States, and they get due process and get a trial. And so the difference, obviously, is the lethal means of these new U.S. operations.
Thank you, Mike. You can read Mike and the rest of our national security team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.